Lori, we are so happy to have you back on the show. It has been a pleasure. Of course, I get to see you a lot in our Microschool Masterminds group, but we were able to interview you on the podcast just probably 100 episodes ago. So we are coming back on. I'd love for you to share with the audience about your growth. And for those who are just hearing about you for the first time, I'd love for you to share about Bloom Beautiful Academy. We just want to relish in all of the growth and the fantastic things that have been happening over this journey that you really didn't think you'd see yourself in. So, Lori, tell us about your micro school and where it's at today.
Welcome, teacher, to the Let Your Light Shine podcast. If you're searching for the freedom and permission to design the life you love as a teacher, you're in the right place. I'm on a mission to help teachers just like you build their own dream school or homeschooling business. In this present day, the world needs you, teacher friend, to step out in faith and give students an education they love and so deserve. In this podcast, I will teach you how to start a fulfilling and profitable homeschooling business that lights you up. I'm Mackenzie Oliver, former elementary teacher and instructional coach, gone homeschool teacher and business builder. I'm here to empower you to step outside the classroom and choose the experiences, the curriculum, and all the moments that put a smile on your face and your students. Does it seem like a dream? Well, it did to me, until God opened the doors and made it reality. Together, we are breaking through fears and moving the crowd. So get out your notebook, sharpen your pencil. It's time to get your teach on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me back on. It's super exciting to be back with you. And so we are ending our third year at Bloom Beautiful Academy, and it's just been incredible. So we are actually located in Florida also. And so we are on the Space Coast, and we started 3 years ago at my house. We had 14 students at my house in a 1,300 square foot house. So it wasn't anything big. We made it work. We couldn't stay there. And so we ended up getting the opportunity to go to a church. The pastor at this church has been incredible. He just handed me keys. I don't attend church here, but he's been so gracious and loves having us here. And so the end of last year, we had 26 students. And then currently we have 60 students.
Wow.
And so we almost tripled our enrollment for this year. And then currently we have that many re-enrolled for next year with more room still available of some grades. And so it's been an amazing journey.
Lori, let's go back to the very first part of what you said. You started with 14 students, then it was in the 20s. Now you are in the 60s. Wow. When did you start to see, obviously there was growth in numbers over the past year. What really attributed to that type of growth in your micro school?
So I think a lot of parents, they're looking for alternative education. They're not happy with the system. And so by then we had, 26 parents that were amazed with what we were doing, and their children were thriving and doing well academically. And so their word of mouth is incredible for us because they started their child's education. And so that was something that was really, really helpful for us. And at the beginning, I would ask some of those parents, I'm like, you tell me these things. Would you write it down for me? Would you write a review or something that other parents can read too? And I've had lots of people say, well, we know so-and-so that goes there and they just say great things about your micro school. And so people want to be a part of it.
They do. It's just a ripple effect. And you're right. Word of mouth marketing is so incredible. If you think back to your your very first year. This is, I think, super important for people to understand about your journey is that you were in Missouri prior to being in Florida. That's how we know each other. The world, the stars and the moons aligned in the world. And here we are about 45 minutes away from each other, having both worked in Missouri at the same school. And then we land 45 minutes away from each other in Florida. You were done with teaching. You were homeschooling your daughter. You got invited to the Teacher Let Your Light Shine Facebook group. You're like, I don't even know what all this is about. I'm homeschooling.
And I don't want any part of it.
You didn't want any part of it. And let's unpack that for a minute. When you said you didn't want any part of it, what was the reasoning for that position of your heart? Why this seemed not aligned with where you were in your life?
Well, we had just moved, like you said, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done with teaching. I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't want to retire from this public school system. And I'm definitely not going to get a job in Florida because it's just would be like starting over. And so I just thought, I'm just going to stay home with my daughter. We're going to do our thing. She's going to learn all the things, and that's what we're going to do. And then as I listened to other parents in the homeschool community, because we got involved with a small homeschool group on one day a week, they were like, oh, this is so difficult, like teaching my child to read or teaching my child math. And I'm like, I could totally be helping these people. And so I'm not really a sit at home, stay at home kind of person anyways. And so I was like, I could help with some of these people. So I just started asking around and asked them, what could I help you with if I was to start something? And so that's kind of where I started.
And that in itself was word of mouth. And there are strategies to word of mouth and being able to connect with people, share your experience. When we talk about word of mouth, we're not talking about when you see people in that multi-level marketing that are trying to tell you about their products and come to open houses. It's not that type of word of mouth. No. It's different. So share, when we were going through, this was definitely the very first year. You hadn't even started your micro school. We did something called the Educational Marketing Series, which is now a new course. And during that Educational Marketing Series, we talked about the value of word of mouth, and we spent a very long time discussing word of mouth. What have you really taken in about word of mouth marketing that's a little bit different, and what kind of strategies do you think are important when it comes to connecting and spreading the word about your school, but having that deeper connection?
Sure. So I think that just talking to people, even if you're at the park with your children, or maybe you're at dance class, or you're taking your kids karate or anything like that, even if you're talking to people, because you just have regular conversation and just kind of getting to know them and what their needs are, and being able to say, I have this micro school, or even I'm thinking about this idea and I think I could help you, And so I think going down that path just in conversation with people can be very, very valuable. Also connecting with like-minded people on Facebook. That's what I did at first a lot. Homeschool group, different educational group, parents that are, there's all kinds of groups on Facebook that you can connect with, but you have to search for those things and trying to find how you can help parents solve their problem.
Yes, we talked about that as help versus hype. We spent quite a while on that because it's very exciting when you talk about or you see a new product or a new service and people are really excited for you, but they may not totally understand how you help them. And so before we can even determine how we can help someone, we have to first understand what their needs are, what their pain points are, what they're struggling with. Now, Lori, when you said meeting people at areas that are local to you, my first initial reaction is yes, absolutely. But in my heart, there still feels this little bit of reservation because I truly believe that in the beginning stages, we have imposter syndrome. We don't know how it's actually going to look. We feel less confident in our early stages compared to where we are later on. We don't know if we're going to get buy-in. We don't know, are people questioning us about our strategy with their children's learning, the curriculum, curriculum. And I think majority of us, especially whenever I go back to whenever we did the educational marketing series, a lot of the time that we had was spent on boosting up our own confidence and our own belief in what we're doing and how we serve people, because it does feel different and it can feel lonely. And share with me and with those who are listening, how has that path looked going from not feeling as confident to now you really don't even need to do anything to get the enrollment that you have? So this confidence piece and going up and talking to parents, sharing how you can help them. Tell me, how did that feel for you then, and maybe how has it changed now?
So obviously, where I'm at now, I feel much more confident because I've seen some results from what we're doing and be like, you know what? I did have the right idea. I'm there. Early on, that imposter syndrome, I think you call it.
Yes.
It can be really devastating to just yourself and your worth. I think we have to continually remind ourselves, because we are all professional people. We may have a teaching degree, we may not. But even if you don't have a teaching degree, you've probably taught your children in various ways or things like that. I have a mom that works for us now that she's like, well, I don't have a teaching degree. She's incredible. She's absolutely incredible. And she does so many things because she's had the experience with that. And so I think we have to constantly be reminding ourselves that I can do this. I have a really great idea, and there's going to be people out there that are going to want to do what what you've envisioned. And it's not going to be for everyone. And you have to know that that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay. It's not going to be for everyone. And so I had to say to myself over and over again, because you would get your feelings hurt, like, oh, they don't like me, or they don't, and it's like, this is not for everyone. And I don't want it to be for everyone.
Sure.
Because there are so many different beliefs in our world today, right?
Yes.
And so I don't want it to be for everyone, and it's not going to be for everyone. And that's okay, because there will be something else that for them.
Absolutely. I'm still going back to when we would meet together during the time that we were going through marketing and learning about marketing and how to get ourselves out there. And I remember one Zoom call, you were just sitting on the couch and you just looked like you were toast. You were like, I have enrollment, but I don't have the enrollment that I want. And I've got people wanting me to do different days, wanting me to teach different ways. And we started talking about target market. And you just brought this up about how you serve a specific clientele or a specific student, but you're not for everybody. And I do believe that once we really hone in on who our target market is, then that word of mouth marketing does get stronger. Our confidence gets stronger. So talk to us a little bit about what you have learned about target market or your ideal student or your ideal family. And no, it doesn't mean it's the perfect student, but what does it mean to you when you talk about your target market from when we first started discussing this whenever we were going through marketing together?
So I think that one thing that I made sure when I figured out my why and what I wanted my micro school to look like, that has not changed. And I think that is one thing that is super important. And so that would be one thing that I would say has not wavered. My target market, basically, of the type of students and families that are going to benefit from our micro school.
Well, Lori, I want to ask you about this. Have you had to say, no, this is not a good fit for you?
I have. I meet with every family before I give them an enrollment form. And so you can tell a lot about people by first impression.
Yeah.
And then some, I've had some later on that I've had to say, oh, I didn't see that, and so, but I have had to say, I will usually just let them know, I don't think this is going to be the best fit for us and for you as your family. You're looking for different things than we can offer. And so I have had to tell a few people that.
And you have a conviction, I believe, when you know that you are offering something that doesn't align with what the family wants or believes in. And when we start, I loved the word that you used, wavering. You said that has not wavered. But when we start going away from the vision and why we do this and what we want it to look like to satisfy and please other people, then we start to have either issues that we did not want to have in our micro school, such as maybe giving a false promise to families families, maybe with a great intention, but then realizing, no, I actually can't do that. Or it could be that families come with a special need. And there is this temptation, Lori, of I don't have enough students, so I'm going to open this up to anyone.
I'm speaking directly to the part of you that's feeling unsure. Maybe you're building a microschool from the ground up, and kudos to you. This is so courageous and a beautiful work of heart. Maybe you're already running a microschool or homeschool hybrid, but the enrollment just isn't where it needs to be. You've got the passion, you totally have the calling, and maybe you even have the classroom space. But the marketing, that's the part that feels foggy, clunky, scattered, and overwhelming. You are not alone. That's exactly why I created the Microschool Marketing Blueprint, because I was you, years 1 through 3. In the Microschool Marketing Blueprint, you will have a proven, practical system to attract and enroll the desired amount of families to meet not only your income goals, but most importantly, your impact. Everyone who starts a microschool or a hybrid program, we all have one thing in common. We want students. And with this Microschool Marketing Blueprint, you are going to be able to attract the families with confidence while communicating clearly, so that you are able to have a repeatable system to last you for years and years of building. We built a school from our living room during COVID with no systems, no ads, no website, just trust, connection, and a deep desire to serve families. From 6 students to 18, and now a wait list and a marketing system that runs without us, this is what you desire, and I want to hand it to you. This is not a copy-paste formula. This is a foundational marketing course built for real-life edupreneurs, microschool and homeschool hybrid founders who want authentic, repeatable strategies that work even when you're cooking dinner, giving baths, throwing in some self-care, taking walks, and making sure that you are working on your greatest impact as a visionary leader. The Microschool Marketing Blueprint is an online course with 5 modules and tons of printables and workbooks and downloadables that you can implement immediately. You will walk away with a clear offer and message that speaks directly to your dream families, time-saving strategies for building your presence both online and in your local community. And yes, even though it's a marketing course, it's important for you to have time management strategies so you can actually go and market. I want you to also be able to determine your costs, your expenses, your income goals, because let's face it, your financial stance impacts your marketing decisions and goals. I want to ensure that you walk away with real marketing funnels designed for you as an educator, not an influencer. You will walk away also with tools to make confident decisions about enrollment, inquiry follow-up, social media, and open houses. And maybe most importantly, you will have the courage and clarity to market even in the uncertainty. Because let's be real, there's always a little unknown, but that doesn't mean you stay silent. You need systems to put into place for marketing. You're building something beautiful, and this blueprint will help share it with the world. Head on over to teachersletyourlightshine.com/blueprint. You will not figure this out alone. It's time for you to take action. It's time to see results. It's time to get your teach on. So bring on the systems, bring on the scripts, bring on the projects that allow you to not only prioritize marketing, but also to see conversion. Again, that's teachersletyourlightshine.com/blueprint.
Talk to us about a potential fear that you may have had that you were not going to meet either enrollment goals or to cover overhead or to cover hiring someone. Did you have those moments, and did you almost want to waver on who you serve or just want to throw in the towel?
So for sure, the fear of not having enough money for overhead, I've definitely had that. And to be honest, probably made the mistake of go ahead and I did waver on that. And that was one of my biggest mistakes, I feel like. That just sucked the joy out of what we were doing because I allowed a couple kids to enroll that probably I wouldn't have done otherwise. And so I've been there, made that mistake, and then regretted that mistake, and then had to fix the mistake.
Sure.
And
Of
so,
course.
yeah, I have been there.
When you first started to see your school growing and you decided to move from your house to a new location, how did that change your enrollment?
So that changed changed enrollment because we had much more space. I probably could have crammed a few more kids in our house, but probably if kids don't have a little bit of space, they start to not be so nice. And so I don't think we could have crammed any more kids in there. But when we moved to the church that we're at, we had a lot more space to use, and they've given us more space over time. And so that helped with enrollment greatly.
So I know from experience living in Florida as well, we do serve a lot of families that come from the homeschool community. We serve from public, we serve from private. Who do you think, who have you seen, or have you seen any changes in your target market of who you serve? Do you serve predominantly students coming from public or private, or homeschooling or virtual school?
So it has changed. When we first started, all of my students were homeschool students, more of a homeschool hybrid. And so now I would say we have about half and half. Maybe I would say it's pretty much half. Half of our students this year came from either public school or private school. And then maybe half of ours are homeschool students, and it is homeschool hybrid for them.
That is so interesting because ours has changed every year as well. So I'm opposite. We had more students come from public and private to begin with. And then once we opened it up to the homeschooling community, that's when enrollment really went crazy as well. So yes, it's interesting because every year, Lori, I'm sure you can attest to this, things change and the dynamic of students that you serve changes. What have you noticed when it comes to having the homeschooling students to then the public and private school students? How has that shifted in your micro school from a leadership perspective? What have you had to change or do differently?
Just with our increased enrollment, we've had to change things from the way we originally did when we started. Every year it's looked different. The way our mission, our vision, that all stays the same, but the way that we teach and the way that the kids are learning has looked different every year.
Were you ever afraid of growth?
Yes.
So it's so interesting because at the very beginning, we're like, we need students in order to continue to do this. And then we get to this point of, I'm afraid to grow. So do you have any? So you were afraid to grow. Talk about that.
Yeah. So the more students you have, just the more space you're going to need, the more staff that you're going to need, the more resources that you're going to need, right? And so I have changed from my position from teaching everything to I'm just kind of like a sub that fills in if somebody's not here now. And the rest of the time I do administrative work because there's so much to do, answering emails and making sure everybody has the materials they need. And we do have a really good bunch of kids, so I don't deal with a lot of behavior problems, but on occasion, that's part of my job too. And so that has changed over time. I am not in the trenches doing all of the teaching anymore.
And how do you feel about taking on this administrative role as your school has grown?
It's been a challenge, and it's been fun also.
Did you ever want to go into administration when you became a teacher? Did you ever see yourself in administration?
I actually never really thought I wanted to. And so I intentionally did not get my master's in administration. And my mom actually said to me, you really should have gotten your administration degree because I could see you being a principal one day, or I could see you being in charge of, a school of some sort. And so I do have a lot of leadership. I feel like leadership qualities. And so I have enjoyed that part of it.
I have too. And whenever I became a teacher, no, I did not have any desire to go into administration. I even remember in college, I was considering child psychology, and someone said, you're really not going to make a good solid career unless you own your own business. And I thought, ooh, I don't ever want to do that. And then, of course, whenever you become a teacher, you never think of owning your own business and teaching. It wasn't until I actually left the classroom to be an instructional coach that literally that executive functioning part of my brain that I did not know existed showed up. It just showed up. And I just fell in love with it. I believe that those of us who are starting micro schools and hybrid programs, we are visionary leaders. And as a visionary leader, you have to be able to see the entire landscape. You can't be in the weeds. You have to see the trees from the forest. And in order for us to be scalable, to be sustainable, we need to be able to have this visionary role. And a lot of teachers are concerned about that. They feel as if I'm not made to be an administrator. I don't want to answer the phones. I don't want to answer the emails. And I'm going to be honest with you, Lori, for a while in years 3 and 4, that was my job in this micro school. The beautiful part is the more we've grown, the more outsourcing I can even do on the administrative side. So I have an admin assistant. My husband works for us as well. So I love being able to communicate with families, but answering the phones, it's not my job anymore. And I'm grateful for that. But did I have to go through it for a while? Yeah. I don't answer emails anymore, but did I have to go through that for a while? I did. So I appreciate you sharing your vulnerability with growth and with moving to the administrative side. Do you foresee yourself or do you desire to outsource some of those administrative tasks?
So yes, this year, halfway through the school year, I hired somebody to be an administrative assistant because the computer part had gotten very overwhelming. Billing.
Oh, I know. Yes.
And then I would spend all my time at school, and then I would be working at home every evening and on the weekends. And so I hired her, and I do very little work on the weekends anymore.
That's beautiful. And you know, Lori, I have been an advocate for that since you and I have been together. I talk so much about it in Microschool Masterminds. We've had a whole month on hiring. There's an entire module on hiring. And I encourage people to hire before you have to start giving up your weekends or your evenings. But I also know that as many times as people can tell you, you really aren't going to do it until you're like, okay, I really need to do it, because that's just who we are and the nature of caregiving and teaching in and of itself. There's this fear of the finances. There's the fear of growth. But truly, the more we hire, the more we free ourselves up. And the more we hire, the more students we end up having so that we can meet those financial goals as well.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. You talked about your word of mouth marketing and that being a very lead indicator for your school growth. You also spoke about getting into Facebook groups. Now, there are some people, including myself, whenever you mentioned the computer work was getting overwhelming, billing, answering questions on social media, posting on social media, we've dug into tons of strategies in Microschool Masterminds when it comes to social media. When we were doing the educational marketing series, we had an entire module just on Facebook marketing, meta business, email marketing. How has your marketing grown in the sense of what you've learned when it comes to, let's just start with social media marketing?
So I've mostly used Facebook for social media. And then you can also, if you're using that, you can use Instagram. You can post in both places, which is very nice. And so I have learned that you have to be very consistent with that. And so if you want your people to see what you're posting, then you have to be very consistent. And so we make sure, I actually have hired somebody to do this as well, but they post several times a week on Facebook, and we still do that. And I didn't do that at first. And I think some of that not being consistent, well, I know that it does. People do not end up seeing your post on Facebook. And so you have to be very consistent with that.
You do. You do. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because consistency is a part of marketing. Consistency is a part of growth. But if you don't have a strategy or you don't set aside time, then you will not be consistent. So one thing that we talked about in the educational marketing series is your jam sessions and blocking out time to really get into this type of work with marketing. Do you or have you been, I don't want to use the word consistent again, but that's what I'm going to say, consistent in planning for your marketing? Has that help? And before you outsourced it to someone, how did you get yourself into a consistent routine of posting on social media or even emails?
Yes, I had to set aside a time once a week to make all of my Facebook posts for the week, because you can schedule those to go out on certain days. So you have to find a time to sit down and schedule all of your posts. And so, but you have to write that down on your calendar and make sure it get done. Otherwise it doesn't get done.
That's right. What doesn't wasn't planned, what isn't planned isn't done consistently. And when it's not on your calendar, it's not done consistently. And that's one component that no matter what, yes, it is great for someone to give you all of the marketing strategies, but I feel as if all of this reverts back to time management. And I don't know about you, Lori, but as a teacher, we were always told how to manage our time. Then we get into this role of having our own school. Now you're adjusting to becoming an administrator of your school. No one is telling you where your time goes. Only you can do that. So I'm very passionate about time management. That's one of the new parts of our marketing course is talking about time management and really what that looks like in your paper planner, what that looks like in your Google Calendar. Do you have any tips to share as well?
So this is probably still one of my weaknesses, even though I say that, but I do put stuff on my calendar so I know what's happening. I sit down at the beginning of the week and I type an email to all my staff so we can all be on the same page of what's happening for the week. And then I have a to-do list, but I still struggle with making sure I have everything written down. I feel like I get things done, but I feel in my brain I'm still scattered everywhere.
Yes. Going into year 6, I have my clipboard right here with me, but I write down, what do I do on a daily basis? What do I do on a weekly basis? What do I do on a monthly basis? It's our DWM workflow, daily, weekly, monthly. And it's something that I don't want to teach anyone to all these strategies for marketing or all these strategies for hiring or all these strategies for enrollment unless we have really evaluated our time and created routines daily, weekly, and monthly. And it's something that's always evolving. And so don't be hard on yourself. I definitely believe that however you can capture it, what do I do on a daily basis? What must I do on a weekly basis? What must I do on a monthly basis? And write it down, and even putting it in a sheet protector. I have it on a clipboard, and every week at the end of the week and do a weekly review. Okay, what did I do every day? What did I do this week? What did I do monthly? Write it all out, retype it or add to it, print it out, put it on your clipboard, and that way you actually make the invisible visible. But I absolutely understand what you mean by managing your time. And truth be told, I think that it is a beautiful creation that we can manage our time, but it can feel overwhelming because we just don't have someone telling us what we need to do every hour of the day. Like, it's time for science, it's time for social studies,
Right.
it's time for lunch.
Right.
What do you feel has been the best type of marketing for you thus far?
My best marketing, I think we talked about mostly, but finding those groups on Facebook, posting in the groups, even if it's not posting about your business, you can post or you can answer people's questions and try to build a relationship even online. So that
Yes.
has been one of my best things. And then also just that word of mouth.
Yes. One thing that we talked about in the educational marketing series, which is now the new course, is always be connecting. It's the ABCs. And it can feel overwhelming if you're like, well, how can I always be doing that? And there are strategies. There's word of mouth. There's emails that can be sent. There are social media templates that can be used. There's making sure that these are the groups that you can post in. These are the groups you can't post in, but these are the groups that you can engage and you can interact in. I'm curious to know, do you use any type of email marketing right now, Lori?
I do not have any email marketing. That is one of my goals I'm not consistent with it.
Okay.
And so that's something I definitely want to learn more about and do better at.
Well, just a reminder, in Microschool Mastermind, it's module 3, module 5, all about your emails, setting them up, putting them on autopilot, getting them automated, because it really is a game changer. You've had growth without email marketing, and I will say that there are different seasons that we've needed different types of marketing. The very beginning, word of mouth was great. Then came social media. Now it's email marketing, because those people, when you are doing email marketing, you are staying in front of people very organically. You own your email. You own your website. At any point, if social media says, I don't want to show your post to someone today, it just won't pop up on their feed, and you've spent so much time doing it. So I'm glad that you have a goal to do your email marketing, and it's okay, because what I'm hearing from you, Lori, is you didn't do it all at once. You didn't do all of these strategies from the very beginning. You've almost, in a sense, layered your marketing as time has gone.
Right. And you can't do it all at once, right? I mean, it's in a process over the past 3 years.
It definitely has been a process. What would you say to someone who is struggling with enrollment?
So I was thinking about this question prior, and I just think with enrollment, you have to be very consistent. Be consistent with if you're going to do Facebook post, or if you're going to if you have email addresses already do email marketing. Be very consistent. Be consistent with the amount of posts that you put out on Facebook. And once you do that and you keep putting your name out and the idea that you have for your microschool, then those people are going to come. They're going to start seeing those things and they are going to come, right? If you build it, they will come.
Absolutely. What do you think causes us, all of us, to be inconsistent when it comes to marketing or just whenever we're struggling with enrollment? What causes our inconsistency?
I think what causes the inconsistency is just the feeling that I'm not going to make a difference. This is not working. And you may feel right at first like you're almost beating your head against a wall. But if you remain consistent, then you'll see the result. And so I think we give up too soon.
Oh, kind of like exercising, right? When we don't see the results, when
Right.
we don't lose the weight, but it's in the small reps. It's in the reps. It's getting up. It's making yourself go on a walk, putting your shoes on. It's getting up, getting in front of the computer, writing your post. Do you use ChatGPT to help you in any way?
Yes, I have used that a lot recently, and that is a game changer. No, it does, because you're gets with what you're like, I don't know what to say. And it has been really great to use.
Yes, it helps to get your thoughts. You are the generator of the thoughts, but it can help you to really get your thoughts in order when you feel as if you just have a ton of things just rambling on up in that brain of ours, correct?
Yeah.
When you first came to my house, because you visited my house when we were in our micro school, you had not started your micro school yet. It was such a pleasure to have you. You had just recently, before you came to my house to see our micro school, you had just bought the business bundle and you had your binder with the business bundle in it. Do you still use components of the business bundle?
Yes, absolutely.
And how did that help from the very beginning when you had the business bundle?
So there's so many components that you're like, oh, I need this and I need this and I need this. And you had already done all the legwork for that. And so still on a weekly, sometimes daily basis, I use that introductory packet. When we have families inquire about our school, they are sent an introductory packet about our school. And it makes us look just so professional. And I've heard over and over again, people are so impressed by it. And so I use that, like I said, weekly. And the handbook that is in that bundle there's so much that needs to go into a handbook. And we've never been taught how do I write this thing? There's so much to it. And the template's already there. And so that was huge, amazingly huge.
I feel as if the business bundle was the very first component to take the invisible process of enrollment and making it visible. So we first start off with the introductory packet, right? After we've done our marketing, which we've talked about, the word of mouth, we've gotten to the Facebook groups, we've set up our website potentially, we've possibly started emails. Maybe we haven't done all of that. But the moment you start spreading the word about your school, everybody needs some type of proof of what they are getting themselves into, what they are getting a return on their investment. What does that look like to them? So the business bundle was and still is the most integral part of our school. So you start off with your marketing. You can use the flyers. You can use the brochures. That's a part of your marketing. But the introductory packet, it doesn't stop there. You get that in front of other people. And whether or not they're totally committed, they may fill out the enrollment form. And truth be told, when you're first starting, there's so many things that you're considering. It's your location. Should I hire? What curriculum am I going to use? How are the kids going to be dropped off? How are they going to be dismissed? Am I set up legally? I got to set up my LLC. I need to set up my bank account. There's just so many things going on. Or maybe you're even in your second year and you've got all of that done, but you're just not seeing the enrollment results that you want. There is a process. There is a system that we have to follow, and you can either print it out, you can hand it to people, which is how I did it at first, but then you can also digitize it. What parts of the business bundle have you turned into digital components, Lori?
So I guess the introductory packet we send as a PDF in an email to everybody that inquires about our school. We also made the enrollment form digital. And so so they can enroll online. Trying to think what else. Even the handbook is a PDF that we can send right away. And it was sort of part of it, but like an interest form that we send out to people that are just inquiring so we can find out a little bit about them.
Yes,
we use like Google Forms for that.
Yes, that's very good. We actually included the interest form. That's a part of Microschool Masterminds. That's something that we did whenever we had the marketing series. It's in the marketing course now, is to have an interest form. And that's really your lead magnet, where you are getting leads in. You're first determining, are they a good fit for your school? Now, do you take the interest form first before you give a tour? That's our process now. Do you do something different?
I send that to them before they come for a tour.
Yes.
So I know a little bit about them. At least I can call the child by name when they come. And I like to do that.
Yes, that is a great form of marketing. And when the families come to tour at your school, what can they expect? What does that look like for you?
So when they come to tour, we show them, of course, the facility. And then after that, after we show them around, they may have different questions about the facility. Then I sit down with them and answer any questions that they have. I always just ask, what kind of questions do you have for me? And we go through any of the questions that they have, and then I can elaborate and show them kind of what we do day by day.
And do you think that the tours are a very much needed part of this process?
Oh, definitely. I meet with every family. They come for a tour before I give them an enrollment form. And if we want to make sure that they're going to be a good fit for our microschool, then the tour and meeting these people in person is absolutely necessary.
Yes, for sure. Lori, when we first started connecting over having a microschool and homeschool hybrid homeschooling period, I really want to acknowledge just the amount of courage that you've had. It's not easy to move to a new state. It's not easy to leave your job of teaching. Even if you are burnt out, you start to wonder about your purpose. You moved here for your very first year. You no longer were teaching anymore. You started homeschooling your daughter. You were doing it alone. You were in a new city. You were meeting brand new friends. You had no family here. It's super courageous. I really want to commend you on that. I also want to commend you that you have been such an incredible learner. And I believe that many of us, we are hungry to learn. We are educators, so learning is a part of our DNA of who we are. And this is absolutely a huge learning curve. I'm serious. I think we deserve PhDs.
For sure.
I mean, this building your own microschool, you should just put PhD at the end of your name, because we do so much research and learning and growing and stretching ourselves. You were listening to the podcast. You got into the Facebook group even when you were like, I don't even know what all this is about. You started asking questions in the Facebook group. Like, I'll never forget when we were in the Facebook group, I knew you were in there, and I think I just accidentally invited you, or maybe I just thought, oh, she might like Teacher Let Your Light Shine. She might like to learn about this because we would talk about homeschooling. And then it was a few months in, you made this post where you're like, hey guys, I'm almost coming out of the woodworks. I've been watching you all and what you're saying and what you're doing. I actually think I might try this. I'm like, what? You didn't say peep the whole time. And then you just come out and you're like, I think I want to do this. And from then on, you were serious. You were like boots on the ground. I want the business bundle. Then you went in and you got into our group where we did the educational marketing series, and we went through the modules, we talked, we discussed, we had homework assignments to specifically get the enrollment going so that you could learn marketing strategies, because we didn't know how to do any of this. And then when Microschool Masterminds came out, literally one of the very first people to enroll, you've been with us for over a year now in Microschool Masterminds. What have you even gleaned from Microschool Masterminds? I'm just so elated when you are there on our group coaching calls. What have you been able to get from Microschool Masterminds from the past year?
So, Microschool Mastermind, the educational marketing series, the business bundle, it has been a godsend. Mackenzie, you've been so much hard work and been such an incredible leader in this movement that it's going like places. And so thank you so much for that. that because it has been incredible. Even being in Microschool Masterminds, I'm like, I'm not going to go anywhere. I've been there over a year to know that there's other people that are doing the same thing and I'm not doing this alone. And so, and the amount of just professional development, to me, the things that you put out with the Microschool Masterminds and the educational marketing series that we did has been some of the best professional development that I've ever been a part of. And prior to that, I was doing professional development, 17 years in the public school system. And so it really has been incredible. And I love being able to know that, like I said, that I'm not alone in this.
Lori, thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate the kind words that you said. And I have to give glory to the Most High because never in a million years did I think I was going to be doing this. But you're right. Professional development is so key. And I don't know of anywhere that we can consistently be professionally developed in this arena, much less be able to choose the type of professional development that we need. And I'm telling you, I think we should start a college. Yeah. I think we should start a college for teachers who want to build their own schools. What do you think about that?
Let's do it.
That's next.
I'll call you Dr. Oliver.
Well, I'm telling you, we live in Florida. Let's just go ahead. Let's make the college. It's so needed. We'll take all the professional development. I'm telling you, I have this idea and we can just go ahead and no offense to those who have already went through, got their PhD, bless you, amazing. But this is real self-initiated professional development. And I'm so proud of everyone who takes that step because you're right, Lori, this is a movement and it's not going away. Yeah. And I'm so happy to have you a part of it, to be a part of this with you. And Lori, what are some...
whatever the price is for Microschool Masterminds is worth every penny.
Thank you so much, Lori. I want to know if you could give encouragement to the person who's starting year one, what would you say?
Starting year one, just be consistent. Don't give up on yourself. You have a vision, a dream of what you want your school to look like, what you want your center to look like. And I just encourage you just to keep on, just keep going, keep pushing forward, and the students will come. You'll have so much joy in teaching again. And so just keep on keeping on.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. What would you say to the person who is been keeping on? They've been keeping on. I've tried to be consistent. It just doesn't feel like it's clicking. What would you say to that person?
It's hard when you're in that place. You're like, I feel like I am doing all the things. Just continue to be consistent because there are people out there, your ex, they need what you have to offer. And so just remember that when you start feeling discouraged.
What about the person who is on the brink of growing, but they fear the growth and the stretch? What would you say to them?
So if you fear the growth, and I think that I think not everybody wants to have a huge micro school, right? You don't want to have 60 students or 100 students. And I feel like that is okay. So
absolutely.
If you're in a place where you're like, I really just want X amount of students, I think that's beautiful because every micro school is going to be different. And there are going to be people that are looking for that type of, just because since we had so much growth, I had some people say that they really don't like that growth. And so there's people looking for smaller micro schools or homeschool hybrid learning programs or whatever you call yourself, one of those. There's lots of different names. So
yeah, there are. And you're right, Lori. I was one of them. I was like, I love it being in my house. I don't want it to be out of my house. But then I had a hard time saying no, or I knew that I wanted to make better experiences for the children. I wanted to have better curriculum. I wanted to have more help. So I needed to have more students. And then I had this really hard time with moving it out of my house and not wanting to grow and not wanting to feel stretched. But yet at the same time, I knew that I wanted more experiences. I wanted better experiences and I wanted better help, or I wanted more help. And with that, I needed more students. And I loved the challenge. Even though I was afraid of the challenge, I actually really enjoyed it. And I'm so grateful that I didn't stay in a position of not wanting to grow. Have there been times where I was like, oh my gosh, so much easier when I had 6 kids at my house, for sure. But then I think about all of the people that I've been connected with over the past few years, the people that I have learned learned from, the parents that have poured their hearts and souls into keeping their children at our school, their testimonies, being able to provide jobs to people, being able to provide experiences to families that they would have never had before, getting to know students better, watching my own children grow. I had to continue to grow because I wanted my daughters to continue to stay with us. And with that, I needed to continue to expand our program. I also wanted to have some distance away from my daughter so that she could grow without me being her teacher in her house every day with other kids. So it's okay to feel the fear. It's okay to feel this stretch. And it's also okay to say, I'm not ready for that yet. But I want to say that it is ever so important that you are staying professionally developed or you will get stagnant. Because while I was staying small, there was something bigger inside of me. And I thought it can't possibly be more students. I don't know how I will do it. But there was something that was growing inside of me. And I can tell you, year 2 and 3, I was absolutely starting to feel stagnant. And I tell you, I'd much rather feel the stretch. I'd much rather feel the burn than to feel like I'm not growing. And I'm not saying just by students, I'm also saying in my heart and my spirit, and not making myself do the things that seemed hard.
Yes.
So Lori, what is your final thought in this upcoming year? I'd love to know, what are your plans for the future and for your school?
So my plans are, right now, we don't have more space for students. And so my plan going forward is to find another location, because I also don't want each location to be super huge, because that smallness of the class sizes and things like that is part of what I know that the people we serve want. And so in the next few months, we are going to be looking for hopefully another location so we can have we'll end up with 2 campuses and maybe more. We'll see what God does with that.
Oh, that's amazing. You're going to have 2 campuses?
Yes.
I love that. And listen, whenever you are ready to dive deep into location, I got you covered, girl. I don't know if you know this. We are moving our location right now. And you are so right. We are in a really big church. And while it offered tons of expansion, it was like, we could get kids lost in that place. There were nooks and crannies and it was beautiful, and I'll never discount it. But we are going to a place that is a little bit smaller. It's a little bit more functional for our school. And you don't have to have a big, huge building. You're right. I like the smallness of the class sizes as well. So I'm right there with you. If you need help with location, we've been through some major trenches over the past couple of years and here recently. So definitely email me, call me, because I will be more than happy to help you, Lori.
Yes, I will.
Okay, honey. Well, thank you so much for once again coming on the show. Thank you for your continued support, your commitment. And I just got to say, I really hope and pray, Lori, that you just keep shining your light. And I want to know, are you headed to any conferences this summer?
I don't have any conferences that I'm going to. Actually, I might go to one, but it would be for a curriculum. And
nice.
Yeah, so I don't have any really conferences that I'm going to, because we just bought a new house and
Yes.
I'm going to be doing all things house in the next few weeks. So
I'm right there with you on that one too. Well, Lori, I'm happy to see you. And actually, we have our Microschool Masterminds tonight. So I'll be seeing you really shortly. I love you. I appreciate you. And I just want to say, keep shining.
Thank you so much.
To all my teacher friends, parents, and visionary leaders, if you are listening to this, I know you are passionate about creating a micro school or a program, a homeschool hybrid that truly shines. But let's be totally honest. Building and growing a micro school or your own program or homeschool hybrid, it isn't easy. It's not for the faint of heart. Whether you're just getting started or looking to scale, there's so much to navigate. Legalities, marketing, finances, student enrollment, location, curriculum planning. That's exactly why I created Microschool Masterminds, a community where you don't have to figure it out all alone. Inside, you'll get step-by-step guidance to launch, grow, and sustain your microschool or homeschool hybrid, access to our exclusive training modules, resources, and live coaching, and a supportive network of educators who get it, because they're building their own dream schools as well. You have this dream of creating an incredible opportunity for students, for teachers, and yourself. Maybe you're in the early stages, wondering, where do I even start? Or maybe you've already taken the leap, but now you're feeling overwhelmed with marketing, enrollment, all of the planning or the finances. You're not alone, and you don't have to figure it out all by yourself. That's why Microschool Masterminds is here to help you on a month-by-month basis. That's right, it's a month-by-month membership designed to give you the support, structure, and strategy you need to actually make progress. Each month, you'll get live group coaching calls so you can ask questions, get feedback, and gain clarity on your next steps. Step-by-step training modules on legal setup, marketing, enrollment, financial planning, school operations, a private community of passionate educators who get what you're building and are right there with you, a roadmap to keep you moving forward whether you're launching or growing your school, and new resources delivered to your teacher mailbox inside our Microschool Masterminds community that are brand new every single month. And again, the best part is it's a month-to-month membership, so you can join when you're ready and staying as long as you need. Or if you're all in, grab the yearly membership and get 2 months free. This is your time. Your vision deserves a real plan, and I want to help you every step of the way. Go to teachersletyourlightshine.com/masterminds to join us today. That's teachersletyourlightshine.com/masterminds. We can't wait to see you.